Hey YouTube fam, I bet you guys can't guess the movie that I watched recently. New release, Airplanes. So this is the 1-year anniversary of my EART NK-C1 classic Telecaster off Amazon. So I thought I would chime in after a year of owning this and tell you, anybody maybe looking to get one or anybody who has one, to see if if you're experiencing the same things that I am, or if it's totally different, or, and maybe together, in the comments we can figure out if these things are pretty consistent or not. So, like I said, last year at this time, this is like June 1st. I think I might be a couple days over, but I ordered this on Amazon as a birthday gift from myself to myself, and my wife ended up depositing some money in my bank account, and so technically the guitar cost me nothing. It was like a nice gift from my wife. So I'm just going to go over some stuff, some pros and some cons that I feel is the case with this guitar. Now, this may or may not be the case for you. This is just simply my opinion, nothing more, nothing less, and you can take that with a grain of salt. Everybody has an opinion, and it is what it is. And forgive me for kind of my twitchy eyes, going over there, going over here, I'm recording with my cell phone, what I normally record with, right over here, and then I'm recording with, so my daughter upgraded to an iPhone. She got, a slightly older version of an iPhone from our aunt, and so she thinks that tablets are, she's too cool for that now. So I'm like, oh, I'll take your tablet. So I'm trying to figure out which of these devices will give me the best video and the best audio, because I don't get fancy. Cell phone, whatever mic is in them, and that's it. So if this tablet's better, maybe I'll start, filming my videos with that. And if the cell phone's better, well, I'll just keep going with that. So that's it. If you guys see my other videos, you know that I don't really edit, and mistakes are, well, what they are, and you're gonna get some of my videos, and that's about it. So. And the audio and the video are just as good as the tablet is, and that's about it. I'm not into these big production things. Number one, don't know how to do them. And number two, I want to be as realistic as possible. So if you guys are sitting at home and you're contemplating this guitar, it's going to look and sound sort of for you like it sort of does for me. Despite the discrepancy of the speakers that you might be listening to and the screen that you might be watching on. But in general, that's as complex as I get. So I made some notes here. So this is the EART NK-C1 Classic Telecaster. I bought this off Amazon a year ago for $379. So the pros, right, the good, was number one, the price. The price was awesome for the features, which I'll, kind of go through here. Another reason why I really loved it, or it really caught my eye, was not only the price, but the body contours. It's hard to, I love Telecasters. I absolutely love them. But let's face it, they're a cutting board with strings, right? They're like a square kind of, well, rounded, but square edged kind of piece of wood with strings on it. And that's kind of the appeal of a Telecaster. It's just plain Jane simplicity at its best, and they sound awesome. I love them. However, I've always found them a little bit uncomfortable to play. Number one, they neck dive, right? Because of the short horns on them. And number two, if you play standing up like I do most of the time, well, before COVID, without a forearm contour, your forearm is perpendicular to the body, to the body curve right here. So you have this like sharp kind of curve that kind of imprints in your forearm like as the night goes on. And sometimes it can get a little bit uncomfortable. Like I'll show you, for example, on my IYV Tele. So if you can see the difference. Now I realize these are two different, styles of guitars, but this just has a regular, Tele body contour. There's no, there's no like forearm contours or anything on this. So when you're playing standing up, your arm becomes, when you put your arms on the string, it kind of gives you that acoustic guitar effect where, your forearm digs into the top of the Tele. And at the end of the night, and plus with the neck dive of the Tele, this is kind of pulling down on you, and you're using your arm to kind of leverage the guitar back up as opposed to not pull it up like with your playing hand. So I've always found them uncomfortable to play for that reason. So I tend to always twist them to the side, and because I don't have much of a belly, the guitar doesn't tilt on me, right? Like it doesn't tilt up on me. So I don't get that kind of belly lift that, some people can have or whatever. So I've always found them a little uncomfortable to play as opposed to a Strat that's like super comfortable to play. So, but I still buy them, and I still love my Telecaster style guitars. But when I saw this one, I thought, wow, this one has a forearm contour, and it has the belly contour, and it has a contoured heel, and it has the contour in the lower horn for the palm, like when you're up at the higher frets, right? So, excuse me. So to me, that was a bonus. I thought that's going to be comfortable regardless. However, I was a little skeptical for the price, and all these additional features. I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be crap. But anyway, let's go on with the positive. So, body contours, small headstock. Okay, at first, like my first look, because you're so trained to get accustomed to stuff that you see, I was like, oh, that's a super ugly headstock. Like I just don't like it. These thin little, pointy headstock at the end. But turns out, because the headstock is kind of, small or thin at the end, it allows it. This guitar has virtually no head tilt or neck dive, like they call it, like with a typical Telecaster. So a typical Telecaster is, because the strap is over here, right, and the neck is 25 and a half inch scale, you're going to get some neck dive as soon as you put the strap, the guitar strap, on your shoulder. So a typical position for a guitar is with the neck slightly raised, and when you let go of this neck, the guitar naturally wants to tilt. But with this Telecaster, the tilting is minimal. So here's where I normally play it, and that's where it falls if I let it go. With normal Telecasters with the bigger headstock, I find you always go to almost parallel to the floor, or even some of them even go more. So depending on if they have like the old school headstock or the kind of the thinner ones, or if they're like kind of a Fender Strati headstock on the Teles or the custom jobbies or whatever. So another kind of good point for me, because I don't really like head dive or neck dive. With a Strat, this strap would be up here on the horn, just above like the 12th fret. So it makes a big difference when the guitar is supported up here versus down here. So you're not going to avoid the neck dive with the Tele, but I find with this one, because of the, they shave away that kind of that ball that would normally be on Fender Telecaster style headstock, it reduces some of the weight, and it does, as far as I'm concerned, make a little bit of a difference. The neck, super smooth. They have like a satin finish on the neck. You can see there, it's not glossy at all. It kind of feels like there's nothing on it. Kind of feels just like, you know, regular wood. And for me personally, I love that. Because when your hands get a little bit sweaty, if the neck is glossy, it sticks. It just doesn't flow. But on these, no issues whatsoever. So love that. Love the neck. Kind of a darker colored neck. It kind of looks like it's roasted maple, but it's not. And it's a nice chunk of maple, and there's some really nice grain work on it. Well, I guess you can't really see that in the camera, but from up close, you know, they're nice. So they put a little bit of money in their necks for sure. Another thing that I particularly liked was the 12-degree radius. So most Telecasters have, you know, like a 7.5 or 9.5 degree radius. Some of them have a compound radius. Some of the newer ones have, you know, you can get them with 12-degree radius. But I find 12-degree radius is good for, you know, chording, bar chords, you know, blues stuff, and for soloing. Like you can bend full step and not worry about fretting out or anything. So and the action can be quite low. So I personally kind of always lean towards a 12-degree radius, or maybe a 10 to 14 in a compound radius. But that's just what I seem to I don't know, migrate towards, I guess. Stainless steel frets. I was super impressed when I found out, you know, when I read that these were stainless steel frets, and sure enough, they are, and they are unbelievably well done. So I don't know if you can see that, but like the ends are rounded like extremely well. There's no file marks on the tips of these frets, and you will not feel them at all. Like they will not, you know, chop up your fingers or whatever, like some guitars, right, at this price point. Frets are awesome. Tuning stability right out of the box on these things was surprisingly good. Pull the strings a little bit, stretch them, tune it up, and it was hard to get this thing to go out of tune. I had to bend the crap out of these strings. So, and that's been like that, like, you know, all year. Like, doesn't matter what strings I have on, the tuning stability on this guitar is phenomenal. The electronics were great right out of the box. Volume worked really well, had a nice sweep to it. Tone control worked. The switch, although it was, you know, it's those tight little kind of box switches, a lot of people say are crap. It worked, and it felt nice and solid. So no issues with the electronics. Truss rod is the wheel style truss rod. So love those. They're super easy to get to. You don't have to pull a plate off the top here. You don't have to try and wedge your stuff between the strings. This pin you can just separate. You got lots of flex in the strings. You can put the pin in there, make your truss rod adjustments. It's always accessible. It's a fantastic setup. I don't know why all manufacturers don't do it that way. The playability out of the box was great, and that playability stayed and held up like all year long. Like it was just, I have no issues or no qualms to, or no gripes, I guess, for this guitar as far as playability is concerned. And I guess the last one really is just, it's super nice finish. Like it's really nice. Look at it's got like kind of like a quilted top. And you know, and then the back is transparent, and you can see the wood grain. You can see that, you know, the wood grain kind of match. It's not just like a bunch of different pieces of wood slapped together. So there was some kind of selective process, I think, in choosing the woods for these guitars. Now, again, I don't know if I just kind of got lucky on this one, or if, I don't know, if they're just all like that. Like I don't know. So, but that's the good. Like that really, I have no issues with this guitar at all, and I'm super glad that I have one, and I'm not planning on getting rid of it anytime soon. So the bag, let's hit that. All right, so this guitar comes stock with these metal butterfly string trees, the little, you know, the little metal, I guess they call them butterfly string trees or whatever. Absolutely hate them. Those things suck. Although they did not affect the tuning stability of this guitar, which was kind of amazing in itself. But I hate those things. I don't understand, and that's why they're gone. And I'll tell you about some of the upgrades that I did. I don't understand why guitar companies still to this day in 2022 still put those on. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, spend $3 or $4 extra more dollars and put some graphite ones in there, or you know, or bone ones, or something like just right. It would just make everything a little bit better and so much more worth the extra $3 or $4 that you might have to charge to break even on your string trees or whatever, or make a little profit. So those suck. The pickups, some people love them, but I absolutely hated them. They were they're ceramic pickups for one thing, so I find them not as articulate, and they were unbalanced. So this bridge pickup, the original one, was super bright, like really bright and clear, and the neck was totally the opposite spectrum, like dark and muddy, and I didn't like either or, so they were gone. And I'll tell you what I did to mine. But you might like yours. Like, if you like it that way, maybe your amp is voiced differently, but for my style of music and the way that I play, which is kind of just self-taught, I didn't like them at all. The guitar has no shielding in the cavities, which I guess is not really negative, because most Telecasters that you buy, even the expensive ones, they don't come shielded either. Like, right? So, but I just found it weird that this IYV guitar, you know, that I bought on Amazon for basically half the price of this one. Like, this one was like barely $175. This one comes shielded. Like, the rear cavity and the pickup cavities, they're all shielded with shielding paint. So why do, right? I don't understand why all manufacturers don't just shield their guitars. Like, just to give that little extra detail. Oh wow, look, this guitar is shielded. Does it really make a difference? I don't know. There are videos out there that'll tell you yes, others that'll tell you no. But it can't hurt, and it's attention to detail, I think, would never hurt a manufacturer to just put shielding tape or shielding paint in their guitar cavities when they're on the bench. You know, when they're done of paint. I mean, you're talking what, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour of labor to do it. Like, it's a piece of cake. Anyway, so I shielded mine. Plastic nut. Now, some people are saying they're actually a bone nut, but on my guitar, it was definitely just a plastic nut. It was cut well. It didn't bind up the strings, but for me, I don't like plastic nuts. So as you can see, the plastic nut's gone, and I have like a graphite one in there. The thing that really kind of it didn't turn me off, but it kind of surprised me is, and one thing that you might want to know if you're planning on buying this to upgrade or to change parts on or to practice working on, these bridges, so the bridge route, which means like the 6 string through body holes, the 4 bridge mounting holes, and the pickup cavity, this whole routed area is a ½ inch further back than on a traditional Telecaster. So on a traditional Telecaster, I have a traditional Telecaster pickguard, which I'll talk about in a minute, on this guitar now, but it didn't come with one. You will notice that the bridge plate is usually almost touching the pickguard. And here you can see the gap, right? There's a good ½ inch gap. So for some reason, the EART guitars have decided to move this whole bridge back ½ inch. It's not a problem as far as the scale length, as far as playability or whatever, because you're going to adjust that with the intonation. However, it is a problem if you want to swap bridges out, because there's only a certain type of bridge that'll work, being it that it's like far back. Like, I tried a Babix bridge on this, it didn't work. I tried a traditional kind of Tele bridge with the 6 saddles, the big square block saddles. They won't work. The saddles have to move forward too much to intonate, and the strings coming through the string through body holes will not go where they're supposed to go. And so it was a learning curve for me. But anyway, but you can find bridges that will work. You just got to be aware that this setup is ½ inch further back. And really, guys and girls, that's it. Like, and those negatives are really like minor stuff. They don't affect the playability of the guitar, but that's just the stuff that I noticed that I didn't like. one thing, again, strictly cosmetic, the pickguard that comes on these things is kind of like a lime green color, and it's not really lime green, it's not really white, it's kind of right in the middle. Again, some people might like that. I absolutely hated it. I thought it was super ugly. It didn't go with the chrome on the guitar, and it certainly didn't go with the, this is called a brown color. You guys are probably seeing it more as a red, but it's actually brown. It just didn't go with anything. It, you know, and the people from EART told me, well, it was to, you know, they wanted to kind of pay homage to kind of the vintage kind of Teles of the time. But this is not vintage, like the headstock and the, right? So why would you throw like a crappy lime green picker? I don't know. Anyway, I hated it. So let's talk about the stuff that I did to mine. So, and then, you know, you guys can tell me what you did to yours. So what I did is I had a piece of carbon fiber, like material, which I'd ordered from a company in British Columbia. And I have a video on that too, when I did the assembly and the mods on this guitar. I have a video on that, and I do explain in the video where I got the piece of carbon fiber and everything. Anyway, so what I did is I just traced out this piece of carbon fiber on the original pickguard, which looks like this. It was shaped like that. You see this big cutaway here. It's not like a traditional Tele that comes around, right? And I just basically screwed it to the top of the original pickguard, and that was it. I knew it was only going to be temporary, because when you do that and it's paper thin, it, like, the pressure of the screws and the holes kind of makes you know, it kind of lifts the pickguard up everywhere there's a screw, and it was kind of, you know, so from far it looked kind of cool, but from close you could tell that it was kind of just doctored in there. So I didn't want to do that. And a friend of mine told me that the fibers in real carbon fiber, like not the top, like not the finished part or the backside, but the actual woven fibers inside this piece are, now this could be wrong, I don't know, but he, you know, he's fairly knowledgeable on, you know, guitar stuff or whatever and materials, and he said they're carcinogenic. So I was like, oh, right. So having this pickguard kind of sitting on my guitar, and, you know, your palm kind of rubbing up on it, and you know, jamming on this, I was thinking, yeah, maybe that's something to be avoided. So so I still had some carbon fiber left, and a buddy of mine that I met online, his name is 2Bike Mike. Hey Mike, I'm sure you're watching this video. Love your vids, man. So 2Bike Mike bought one of these. It was a blue one, I believe, and he put a Perloid pickguard on his. But he put a regular Telecaster pickguard. So because of his video, I knew that a regular Telecaster pickguard would work. But I still wanted that carbon fiber that carbon fiber look, because I thought it was kind of different and it's cool. So I ordered a transparent Telecaster pickguard off Amazon for, like, I don't know, 17 bucks or whatever they were. And they're like thick. They're almost like a 3-ply pickguard thick. And I cut a piece of carbon fiber. My original plan was to keep the original pickguard shape and to cut this transparent pickguard to match this one, put this one on the guitar, put the transparent one on top, so, you know, to get rid of the potential of getting some fibers in my skin or whatever from the cut edges, and kind of just going like that. The problem is the regular Tele pickguards, screw holes do not line up with the EART ones. Like, they're totally off. I think the only one I think that lines up is this one, the one that's on just the bottom side of the pickup when you're holding the guitar. Just going by memory, but I'm not sure. And Mike's video, 2Bike Mike's video confirmed that too. Like, so what he had done, which is what I done. So I copied you, Mike. I copied you 100%. He just got some bamboo toothpicks, like the big kind of heavy ones, a little bit of carpenter's glue, filled up every hole. You know, you break the toothpicks off, make sure they're nice and level, and then you install your pickguard where it's supposed to go, re-drill new holes, and that's it. So that's what I decided to do with this one, because had I drilled new holes in this pickguard to match the original one, I would have like 2 holes up here, 2 holes down there, 2 holes. And I know they're clear and you wouldn't see it maybe from far, but every time I'd look down at the guitar, I'd see this extra hole and it would frickin' drive me nuts. So I went with the 2Bike Mike method, and I filled up the holes, and I put my carbon fiber pickguard underneath, slapped that on. It was a perfect fit. Granted, I had to do some routing up here, like in the, right, because the Telecaster pickguard does not have an opening for the truss rod adjustment wheel. So if you're going to do something like that, you're definitely going to have to do a few mods, but they're super simple and they're easy. And the pickguard works. The only difference, again, because the bridge is ½ an inch back, is you're going to end up with a gap with a regular Tele pickguard because of that ½ inch further back route. So I did that. So I put, so the carbon fiber's underneath. You can't even come close to touching it. And so now I have this nice clear carbon fiber pickguard, and in the right light, it looks fantastic. So anyway, yeah. So I did that. When I got the guitar, I wanted it to be a little different. I already have some guitars with some chrome hardware. I really like the black look, so I bought these cheap tuners off Guitarfetish. I got these graphite string trees off Amazon. I got this graphite nut. It's called a self-lubricating nut, and it was pre-cut. Honestly, the old one just popped right off, and this one just sat right in there. I didn't have to do anything to it. So it was a perfect fit. Anyway, yeah, so it's self-lubricating graphite nut. I slapped that in there. This black hardware and these knobs and an American style switch came from Amazon. I bought, sorry, not Amazon, Guitarfetish, as well as these black strap buttons. They were from Guitarfetish. This bridge was literally, I think it was $14. It's like a 6-saddle bridge, but it has the barrel style string, I guess, what do you call them? Man, I'm kind of lost my train of thought. Anyway, the saddles. The saddles are barrel style, and so that came from Amazon. And this bridge works really good on this guitar. And the pickups were from Guitarfetish. So, and these pickups are the Kwikplug style. So since they were the Kwikplug style, I ordered the Guitarfetish Kwikplug electronics. So once you wire them in, there's no soldering left to do. You just like run your wire, plug it into the pickup, put your pickup in, that's it, you're done. So that's what I did with that. The back of the guitar is still all chrome, like the chrome neck through body ferrules and the chrome, the original chrome screws. I didn't do anything with that. It doesn't really bother me. Oh, and this little black, of course, black input cover was also from Guitarfetish. So Guitarfetish and Amazon parts, like nothing high end. But Mr. Man, I'll tell you, this guitar has been fantastic. And at first, I was like, well, it's good guitar, but really, I'm only, playing a little bit at home, doing a few videos, practicing some tunes. But hi, honey.
Are you coming to Claire's flag games?
Yes, I am going to flag football, you guys. I'm leaving in a few minutes. I'm almost done. So thanks. I just basically had the opportunity to play with a band. Finally, COVID restrictions have eased here in PI, and I decided I would take this. I had some new gear I wanted to try out. I had a Quilter Super Block that I just got. I wanted to see if you could actually gig with that. I bought this little cabinet from Implicit Audio, another company in Canada that you build yourself, and I put a Jensen speaker in there, and I wanted to see if I could gig with that. And then I figured, hey, why not bring a guitar I've never gigged with? And absolutely fantastic. This thing has been great. So for, it's a year old, and it's super solid, no issues with the neck whatsoever, no warping or bending, the frets have been good. And the only other thing that I've done, and this was just very recently, is I decided to pay, the $80 or whatever, and to get my friend in New Brunswick at the guitar repair center in Moncton to do a fret leveling. Out of the box, it was totally playable, no issues, no dead frets, whatever. But there were some fret height inconsistencies, minor, like nothing, But at the action height that I like my guitars, a few spots were a little bit buzzy, and so you know what? Once this guitar had kind of proven itself out to me, I figured for $80 I get a nice fret level, and obviously when you do fret level, you do another polish or whatever. So he did a great job on the frets. And it just made the guitar that much better. So if you're looking for a super cheap Tele, that's super comfortable to play with the body contours, nice and solid, tuning stability, easily moddable. I gotta say, these are great. EART doesn't know who I am. They don't care, I'm sure. I'm not advocating for them at all. I'm just really impressed. I really have enjoyed owning this guitar, and I've really enjoyed playing it. And I plan on keeping it for a long time. So all in all, with all the mods and the upgrades, because most of the places I bought the stuff was in the United States, I probably got a couple $100 Canadian of upgrades. But you know, again, in general, like cheap pickups, like, you know, $26, maybe $30. Bridge was $17 or 14 or whatever. These tuners were, I think, maybe $29 or $30. So, you know, really cheap stuff, and probably about the quality of what comes on the guitar as well. Maybe not the pickups, but like the hardware. So, you know, the guitar in itself is good. I just wanted something different. I really wanted to black it out, and I thought it would look good with, you know, it's kind of black on the edges, and I just thought it would kind of dial it in, and the black fret markers and the black, you know, EART logo. And so anyway, and I'm super happy with it. So that's it, guys. This is not like a demo thing or whatever. It was just my 2 cents of the EART guitar and how it held up a year later. This summer I'll be gigging a lot. Well, it looks like I will be. So hopefully my playing will improve, and I'll probably give you guys an update on how that thing does, you know, out in outdoor gigs, in the sun, indoor gigs, in the humidity, all that stuff. It'll be curious to see how that thing really holds up in a gigging season. So keep in mind, I've had it for a year, only gigged with it 1 time, other than maybe a few, you know, shows at our local church, like just for, you know, half an hour in the mornings or whatever. But not very representative of you know, how a guitar gets kind of beat up in a live situation. So, but so far, it's fantastic. So it's been a year, and super happy, no regrets whatsoever. If you have any questions at all, post them. Let me know what you've done to yours if you have them. Let me know how they've fared out. And always great to hear your comments. I love that about YouTube and the community. And you guys are so awesome. It's so knowledgeable. It's great. And thanks again for watching. You guys stay safe. God bless. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheerios.